Willem Defoe is an actor who exemplifies layered embodiment. This will be evidenced by cross-analyzing the manifestation of the four bodies from Vivian Shabshak's analytical model through his performance in both The Lighthouse and At Eternity's Gate. However, before delving into this thesis, I think it would be worth examining what exactly is Vivian Shabshak's analytical model. She writes in her text, "Being on the Screen, a Phenomenology of Cinematic Flesh or the Actor's Four Bodies," that from a phenomenological perspective, both on-screen and off, the actor may be seen as being and having as many as four bodies, what here I will call a pre-personal body, a personal body, an impersonated body, and a personified body. In terms of the pre-personal body, Vivian Shabshak describes it as pre-conscious and culturally habituated acting in the operative field of the world without reflection or thought. To put plainly, the pre-personal body manifests as the spontaneous and instinctive responses, like gestures and body language of the performer. These responses can be shaped by both the cultural environment of the performer and their physicality. In regards to The Lighthouse, Willem Dafoe's pre-personal body is the foundation of his embodiment of Thomas Wake. One element that exemplifies this is his voice. Indeed, Defoe naturally has a gravelly and raspy voice.
He's gay, but he has a special connection to classical music. There's many things that are interesting about him. It's basically a comic performance.
As Defoe's character is a longtime lighthouse keeper who experienced many years at sea, it would make sense that his character is deeply connected to the harsh environment of the lighthouse. Therefore, Defoe utilizes the already gravelly and raspy qualities of his voice and intensifies them in order to heighten this embodiment of Thomas Wake.
You make me laugh with your false grum. Ye pretended there's some mystery in your quietudes, but there ain't no mystery. You're an open book. A picture, says I.
In regards to At Eternity's Gate, Willem Dafoe's physicality, more specifically his weary frame, is an example of his pre-personal body's manifestation in Defoe's performance of Van Gogh. These photos demonstrate Defoe's athletic but lean body type. On the other hand, Westerman Holstein discusses Van Gogh's physical appearance in his journal article titled The Psychological Development of Vincent van Gogh, when he says, "He even painted himself walking through the heat of the noonday sun, with canvas and easel on his back. I even work in the full sunshine of high noon without any shade in the wheat fields, and I enjoy this like a grasshopper." This quote suggests that Van Gogh also had a lean and weary body type through his ability to endure rough physical conditions when painting outdoors. Therefore, Defoe's inherent physicality becomes a tool for immersive embodiment. This use of his pre-personal body intensifies the sense of realism the audience gets from Defoe's performance. Moving on to the personal body, Vivian Shabshak describes this as the consciously sensing and sensed personal body as an integral, self-aware not only of being, but also of having being or behaving. This is to say that the personal body acts as a form of physical and psychological self-awareness on the part of the performer, which comprises his or herself. The latter utilizes this self-awareness as a method of blending it with the character which they are performing. Let's now look at The Lighthouse and Defoe's personal body. Here, Defoe's personal body is evidently displayed through his control over Thomas Wake's unpredictable personality. The following excerpt, where Wake insults Winslow for criticizing his cooking, is a perfect demonstration of the delicate interplay of control that Defoe exerts over Wake's character.
I seen it. You're fond of me lobster. Say it. Say it. Say it.
I don't have to say nothing.
Danny! Let Neptune strike ye dead, Winslow! Hark! Hark!
At the beginning of this excerpt, Defoe's performance suggests his character's psychological containment. In fact, Wake appears like a volcano, ready to erupt, but something is holding him back from doing so. This containment is achieved through Defoe's channeling of his own self as a sane individual. However, in the second half of the excerpt, the performance showcases the volatility of Wake's character through this manic episode where he cries out to the sea gods. The drastic change in performance style is achieved through Defoe's release of Thomas Wake's character's internal containment, which was initially controlled by Defoe's own individual sane self. Now let's discuss At Eternity's Gate and its intersection with Willem Dafoe's personal body. Willem Dafoe, just like any other human, is capable of introspection. He uses his personal ability to do this as a framework from which he can act while slotting in his character's specific qualities. This can be seen in the following excerpt where Van Gogh confides in a priest.
Why would God give me a gift to paint ugly and disturbing things? Sometimes I feel so far away from everything.
Here, Defoe's performance conveys Van Gogh's questioning of his purpose and alienation from his environment. The actor's line delivery and thoughtful pauses serve to articulate a pensive tone, making the performance come off as more sincere and impactful. Consequently, Defoe's personal body, manifested through his self-awareness of how to use his body and emotions for deep thinking purposes, allows him to authentically portray the qualities that characterize Van Gogh's character. Moving on to the impersonated body now, Vivian Shabshak describes it as an assumed role, a set of attitudes adopted by an individual to fit his or her perceived social role. In other words, the impersonated body represents an embodiment through selected traits. It's the specific, deliberate choice of characteristics adopted by the actor to shape their performance that allows the impersonated body to manifest. When looking at The Lighthouse, Willem Dafoe's impersonated body manifests through his enactment of Thomas Wake's qualities. These qualities contribute to the performance's authenticity by portraying an othered persona from Willem Dafoe himself. A prime example of this is showcased in Defoe's voice throughout the film. In the following clip, listen carefully to Defoe's vocabulary and syntax.
I don't think about my face ever. My face does its own thing, and if you think about your face, you're going to shoot yourself in the foot because I don't work my face. My face is an extension of my body, and my body does its thing.
Now, listen to how Defoe speaks when he performs as Thomas Wake in The Lighthouse.
'Twas ye what changed the wind on us. 'Twas ye what damned us, dog. 'Twas ye. Will you do what you wished you'd done to old Winslow? Will you best me then? For Winslow were right. Thomas, you're a dog. A filthy dog. A dog!
Notice how Defoe utilizes old-fashioned vocabulary and syntax that is proper to the time period at which the film is set. The Lighthouse is set in 1890s New England, and this couldn't be more obvious than in the words Wake uses. Just in this clip, one can hear early modern English words like "'twas" for "it was" and "yea" for "you." Also, there's a certain inversion of word order in sentences like "Will you do what you wished you'd done, old Winslow?" This makes the speech seem more formal and poetic, which connotes the early modern English speech standards. In terms of Defoe's performance, putting these elements proper to Wake's character on full display heightens the historically grounded nature of his performance. In other words, Defoe's impersonated body is apparent in how he uses specific vocabulary and syntax to impersonate Thomas Wake, a lighthouse keeper of 1890s New England. When looking at Eternity's Gate, Defoe's performance is marked by his impersonated body through his embodiment of Vincent van Gogh. Indeed, Defoe subtly implements characteristics of the actual Van Gogh as part of his performance in order to heighten the sense of immersion that audiences would feel. For instance, Dr. Karen G. Becker and Dr. Alex Y. Becker write in their SciArt journal article titled Color and Emotion, a Psychophysical Analysis of Van Gogh's Work that Van Gogh was constantly in an extremely high state of anxiety and anger throughout most of his life. This directly evidences Vincent van Gogh's anxious nature. Therefore, Defoe implements specific nervous tics as part of his act in order to articulate Van Gogh's anxiousness. Look at this excerpt for evidence.
A grain of madness is the best of art.
You're not a madman.
In this clip, one can see how Defoe is fidgety with how he moves. He is constantly moving around on his chair and cannot seem to keep still. In addition, Defoe repeatedly avoids eye contact with the person sitting in front of him. His eyes wander from left to right, from top to bottom, but almost never at the character he's speaking to. These are clear signs of nervousness that Defoe acts out as a form of embodiment of Vincent van Gogh. Consequently, with the use of these specific nervous tics, his performance enhances in terms of authenticity and allows Van Gogh to come alive within Defoe himself. Lastly, in terms of the personified body, Vivian Shopshak writes that the personified body is performing. That is, the personified body is an act of metaphoric substitution, stands in for an idea. In essence, the personified body is derived from an actor's public perception. It represents an actor's specific qualities and ideals that are present beyond the specific role they are performing and is fundamental in shaping their cultural iconography. When discussing The Lighthouse, Willem Dafoe's personified body comes into play when thinking about the character he portrays. Thomas Wake is an old sailor who authoritatively guards a lighthouse and gradually transforms into a delusional, weak counterpart to his new partner Winslow. As such, one can argue that Wake goes through a transformative experience, one where his character regresses into a submissive, crazed individual. In Philip Oslander's Task and Vision Revisited, 2 Conversations with Willem Dafoe, 1984-2002, Willem Dafoe discusses transformation and persona by saying, "I'm always fascinated by this. You got to get away from yourself in order to find commonality, to find yourself." This quote captures how Defoe's public image is at least defined by a certain approach to performance as an act of self-transcendence. In other words, he's an actor who explores transformation in the roles he takes on. As such, Defoe's personified body is clearly called to action in his enactment of the transformative character of Thomas Wake. In regards to At Eternity's Gate, Defoe's personified body showcases itself in his performance of Vincent van Gogh through the level of immersion that Defoe sets upon himself. In the previously mentioned journal article titled Tasks and Vision Revisited, 2 Conversations with Willem Dafoe, 1984-2002, Willem Dafoe also says, "I like the sensation that I have when I'm performing. I like the sort of single-purpose feeling that you have, the kind of concentration, the kind of grace that can be possible that you can accomplish through gesture. You feel useful, you feel unified." Here, the actor highlights how purpose and unity are key elements that allow for the level of immersion that he's become known for. It showcases his famed commitment to the full embodiment of the characters he portrays. This is, of course, no exception in his embodiment of Van Gogh, and the evidence lies in what I've discussed so far. The ways in which he uses his pre-personal, personal, and impersonated bodies all work together to create this heightened sense of immersion that's come to define his personified body. As such, Defoe's personified body is prevalent in how he channels his other bodies to portray Van Gogh and articulate the latter's heartbreaking but inspiring story in an authentic fashion. In conclusion, I'd like to reiterate my claim that Willem Dafoe is an actor who exemplifies layered embodiment. This was argued by looking at how his 4 bodies, from Vivian Shopshak's analytical model, manifest in his performances from The Lighthouse and At Eternity's Gate. Defoe is an icon, and his brilliant acting serves as a testament to the quality of his artistry. No matter how daunting or outright crazy the role may seem, Defoe seems to capture both the character and audience in an inspiring fashion. It's safe to say that he's motivated the many great actors of today, and will hopefully continue to do so for generations to come. Thank you so much for your attention. This is Noah 32, signing out.